It's time again for the Science Bowl.
Zoo Parade for 5. What big teeth the hippo has are actually a pair of these. Science Potpourri for 10. Would a snake most likely eat every day? Every week, Dateline Science for 10. Why are some elephants wearing necklaces these days? Green things for 15.
And now, here's your host, Mr. Z himself, Dave Zarin.
Thank you, and welcome to the Science Bowl, the science quiz show here in the Prince George's Schools where we test science IQs, test your own scientific literacy, and play along today. Let's meet today's teams. First from Beacon Heights Elementary, would you please say hello to Luis Guzman, Kenneth McLeish, and Mikhail Matthews. And from Gladys Spellman Elementary School, say hello to Noah Akis, Clarissa Kendatai, and Luis Leva. And now here are the categories of questions we use on the Science Bowl.
Okay, Mr. Z, here's today's categories. Green things, questions about plants and all things green and growing. Zoo Parade, a Noah's Ark of questions about animals. Body systems, we'll see how much you know about yourself, about things like breathing and growing and digesting your food. Let's get physical. Questions that test your knowledge of physics and chemistry, earth science and space science. Then there's Science Potpourri. Here's a grab bag of science questions, everything from air pollution to the kitchen sink. And finally, Dateline Science. We'll ask you about science history and science in the news.
Here on the Science Bowl, we arrange our game board according to question difficulty, with the easier questions on the left worth 5 and 10 points, the tougher ones worth 15, 20, and ultimately 25, the toughest of them all. Both of our teams start out at 50 points apiece. No penalties ever for incorrect answers. Into the 2 rounds today, one of these 2 talented, good-looking teams will come back to play our game again and perhaps advance to the elementary school semifinal round. Let's go over and make sure everything works properly. Let's go to the red team. Kenneth, would you try your buzzer, please? Thank you, young man. Good luck to you and to Mikhail and to Luis. And Clarissa, how about the green team's buzzer? It too. She has a nice confident push over there, looking, sounding good. And Luis and Noah and Clarissa, nice to have you here. Good luck to you as well. All right, we go alphabetically. May the better team win. Congratulations on being here representing your schools. B comes before G, so Beacon Heights and Kenneth, let's play the bowl.
Science Potpourri for 10.
Potpourri for 10 points. Teams, these famous sequenced shoes that are named for a precious stone, at the Smithsonian, if you look at them closely, they are mismatched with one a half size different than the other. Name these famous shoes named for a precious stone at the Smithsonian. It's the ruby slippers that Dorothy wore in The Wizard of Oz. Try again, red.
Science Potpourri for 5.
Science Potpourri for 5 points. Teams, we know that birds peep and cheep and chirp, but unlike us humans, when we do this other thing, they are not restricted to 140 notes. Clarissa.
Sing?
Not sing, no. Think now. The number is important. These birds, they're not restricted like we humans are to 140 notes.
Cry?
Tweet. Tweet. Do any of you tweet on Twitter? You can only use 140 characters. All right, try again, Red.
Dateline Science for 5.
Dateline Science for 5 points. Teams, a young British girl, she was only 11 years old. Her name was Venetia Burney. She suggested to her grandfather the name of this former 9th planet. Beacon Heights?
Pluto?
Pluto is right, yes indeed. Go Red.
Let's get physical for 5.
Let's get physical for 5 points. Teams, spaceships patrolling the Milky Way, if they existed, would be, like the movie said, Guardians. Kenneth?
Guardians of the Galaxy?
Yeah, exactly right. Luis, he knew that one. Thank you for your assist, Luis. Go, Kenneth.
Body systems for 5.
Body systems for 5 points. Teams, there was a Broadway musical all about this body part, and they sang about it and described it as long, straight, curly, fuzzy, shaggy, snaggy, ratty, matty. Gladys Spellman?
Hair.
Hair. Long as you can grow it. Hair. Yeah, go. Green.
Green things for 5.
Green things for 5 points. Teams, this number 1 grain that feeds 1/5 of the earth grows mostly in paddies in Asia and is a cereal that goes snap, crackle, pop. Clarissa.
Rice.
Rice. Good. Green.
Zoo parade for 5.
Zoo parade for 5 points. Teams, ironically, a mouse was the sidekick of this big-eared pachyderm. Kenneth.
Elephant.
No.
More specifically. What do you got?
Woolly mammoth.
No, not woolly mammoth, Gladys Spellman. Let me finish for you. Ironically, a mouse was the sidekick of this big-eared pachyderm invented by Disney 75 years ago.
Dumbo.
Dumbo, absolutely right. Thank you, Luis. You came up with that just at the last second. Go green.
Science potpourri for 15.
Potpourri for 15 points. Teams, there was a rap artist who was talking about mosquitoes, and he said, empty water from containers and dress to protect. When you feed them, you breed them, so wear approved repellent. He was talking about trying to avoid what disease here in the Americas, Gladys Spellman?
The Zika virus.
Zika, absolutely right. Well done. Go green.
Zoo parade for 10.
Zoo parade for 10 points. Teams, we know that in our homes we have drawers that are lined with cedar wood, and our closets are scented with naphthalene so that these lepidopterous insects don't eat our clothes. Red.
I'd like to pass to Luis.
Luis.
Termites?
Not termites, no. We're trying to get what insects from eating our clothes?
Bed bugs.
Moths. Moths. Clothes moths. Try again, green. You have a 20-point advantage, 80 to 60. Spellman.
Body systems for 10.
Body assistance for 10 points. Teams, in every cell of your body that has a nucleus, inside that nucleus are 23 pairs of these genetic parts. Clarissa.
DNA.
More specifically, what are the parts themselves?
Genes.
Not genes. Beacon Heights, 23 pairs of what in every cell nucleus in your body? What you got?
Atoms.
Chromosomes. Chromosomes, and the genes are on the chromosomes. Ooh, the buzzer says we've come to the end of the first round. It's been a quick one. Our score right now, Beacon Heights 60, Gladys Spellman 80. We'll be back with round 2 in just a moment. Don't you go away. And welcome back to Scienceville. Nice to have you here today. Thanks for spending part of your day with us. We're going to meet our 6 players before we ask any more scientific questions. We're very happy to have with us 3 great players here from Beacon Heights, and we welcome Luis back to the program. Kenneth and Mikhail, nice to have you here for the first time. Kenneth, tell us about Beacon Heights. We know it's right there off the BW Parkway in Riverdale, up there in the hill. It's a great little school. Who's your principal?
Our principal is Miss Dewey.
Miss Dewey, great educator and wonderful principal. She's with us here today. Thank you, Lynn, for all your support for our show. And who's the sponsor? You actually have 2 sponsors of your team, don't you, Kenneth? Who are they?
Miss V. Jones and Mr. Gatling.
Mr. Gatling and Miss Jones. And Mr. Gatling has been here for many years. We appreciate his support. And Miss Jones, nice to have you on board with us here. And Kenneth, do you have any alternates on your team?
We have one.
What's his first name?
Genesis.
Genesis, it's her name, isn't it? Genesis. We'll see Genesis in just a few moments here. Kenneth, what do you like about Beacon Heights? Why is it a great place to go to school?
It's a great place to go to school because the teachers are really supportive and they help us learn.
Very good. Boy, that's what a school should be, right? Yeah. Kenneth, you're a good captain. You're a good player. What do you want to do someday?
I want to be an engineer for Samsung.
Yeah, and because I know you take phones apart and you put them back together, right? And they actually continue to work. So, yeah, some of these phone companies with the problems they've been having, they could use you right now, Kenneth, I would think. Nice to have you here. Mikhail, tell us about yourself. This young man, he's interested in political science. He says he wants to be president of the United States. I like his ambition. And if you were president, Mikhail, what's one of the first things that you would do if you could?
Well, one thing I would do was restrict most likely I would start little, but gun control would be a major issue. I would try to prevent and control.
And boy, that's a tough thing in this country, isn't it? Yeah,
Yes.
people pro and con, and it's part of an American tradition, but you know the toll that it takes. It's confounded a lot of presidents, so good luck, Mr. President, if you get in there. What do you do in your spare time?
Well, I like to read about political science, and I just love to read a lot, really, and just read about how the world works and our laws and regulations.
I like to listen to you. You've got a great voice, and you're very mature, and you present very well. I can see you as a politician someday. Luis, nice to have you back here today, and I know former teacher at school, Mr. Biller, selected you last year, and I know you look up to him a lot. What do you want to do someday?
I want to be a coder, make my own games.
Yeah. Video games are big now, aren't they?
Yeah, and make be a YouTuber to have early trailers or a let's play of my new games.
Yeah. So you're going to be a businessman too. So you're a creative guy, and you got to sell the product, you got to advertise it. So if you build a better mousetrap, they say, people will beat a path to your door. So let's see. I hope it happens for you. Nice to have you back. Gladys Spellman, in 31 years, been waiting for you guys to join us. So nice to have you here today. School name for the late Congresswoman for Prince George's County. I remember her well. She was a friend, and I'm sure she's looking down and smiling today on you guys. Clarissa, tell us about Gladys Spellman. Where is it geographically?
It's in Cheverly.
In Cheverly, yes. It's kind of off Route 202 out here. You can get to it. Who's your principal?
Our principal is Miss Smith.
Miss Smith, and I know she's out there rooting for you. And sponsor of your team or sponsors?
Our sponsors are Miss Brooks, Miss Emba, and Miss Newsom.
And they're all here today. Thank you. What a nice trinity you've got there, all working here for these three young people here. And you had an alternate or two, didn't you, Clarissa?
Yes, we have one alternate, which is Soraya.
Wonderful, and we'll bring her out in just a few moments here. The best thing about Gladys Spellman, what should we know?
I think the best thing about Gladys Spellman is all the teachers have a way of making learning fun. Instead of just having it boring, we can have fun and learn at the same time.
Isn't that the truth? If you're not having fun, and nothing's going to stick with you, and you can't wait to get away from there. So it sounds like the teachers and the principal there are doing everything right, and you young people are proof of that. All right, let's get back to our game here. Well, first of all, let's talk to Luis. Luis, tell me about yourself. You came up with a good answer there. Tell me, how do you know so much about science?
I've always been interested in science since second grade. I always liked doing things hands-on, not just sitting down in books and like that. I like doing things.
Boy, a lot of people should hear what you're saying, because science has to be tactile. You've got to feel things, you've got to pick things up, and that's how you learn and how you remember. And you've obviously done that here. What do you want to do someday professionally?
I want to become an aerospace engineer.
Wow, you'd be a good one. You have an intensity about you, and I bet you're a good math student as well. And let me go back to Clarissa for just a moment. Clarissa, I didn't ask you what you wanted to do later on in life.
I want to become a pediatric oncologist.
Yeah, you were telling me about that, and you hope to go to Hopkins, which is a center for that. Is there a particular reason why you chose that specialty?
It's just that a lot of people have told me that if you want to do something in the medical field, Johns Hopkins is a really good school to go to.
Absolutely right. Tops in the country in many different fields, not just oncology. Nice to have you here. Noah, tell us about yourself. Why'd you want to be on the show?
My mom and lots of my parents, they were encouraging me to do this, so just did it.
I'm glad you listened to them, and thank you, Mom and Dad, for encouraging Noah to do this. What do you want to do someday?
I would like to be a photographer.
Photographer. And you were telling me that you do videos as well?
Yes.
Yeah, and you'd like to do that, and also you like to draw in your spare time.
Yes.
Yeah, so you're a creative kind of guy, and photography is a lot like drawing. You're composing something, you got to set it up, and something tells me you got a good eye. Good luck in the second half. Let's get back to the game. 80 for Spellman, 60 Beacon Heights. Lots of points yet. Remember, put on your thinking caps. Here we go. Green, start us out.
Let's get physical for 10, please.
Physical for 10 points. Teams, if you take away water from orange juice, you concentrate it. But if you add water to orange juice, you do this to it. Beacon Heights?
Deconcentrate it?
Not deconcentrate, no. Good try, Gladys Spellman. Adding water to orange juice does this to it, the opposite of concentrating it.
Saturates it.
Diluting it, you dilute it. Go green, please.
Dateline science for 10.
Dateline for 10 points is a visual question. Could you look at the monitor in the studio, please? And this strange creature is real. It's called an eye. And it lives on the island of Madagascar. And you know, if you've seen the Madagascar movies, that the eye is one of these kinds of primates found only on Madagascar. It's a lemur. It's a lemur. You remember Madagascar? King Julian, the king of the lemurs. Okay, go again, green.
Green things for 10.
Green things for 10 points. Teams, Charles Darwin said this is the most wonderful of plants. And this plant, it's smart. A few little bugs or raindrops will not cause its traps to close up tight. Beacon Heights.
I'd like to pass to Mikkel.
Okay.
Venus flytrap.
Venus flytrap, that's what we want to hear. Good. Red, go.
Science potpourri. Let's get physical for 15.
Let's get physical for 15 points. Teams, astronomers now say that this 7th planet may have 2 undiscovered moons. Name it. Spellman.
Neptune.
No, ma'am. Good try. This 7th planet may have 2 undiscovered moons, Beacon Heights.
Uranus.
Uranus is it. Good comeback. Go red.
Zoo parade for 15.
Zoo parade for 15 points. Teams, if an animal like a kangaroo rat is much bigger than the other species of kangaroo rats, they call it a giant. But if an animal is the opposite, smaller than normal, like a smaller than normal hippopotamus, you use this diminutive adjective to describe it. Clarissa.
Dwarf.
Dwarf. Judges, we will take dwarf or pygmy. Yes, go. Green.
Body systems for 15.
Body systems for 15 points. Teams, if you undergo surgery and the doctor gives you a new upper femur, he has replaced this H-initialed ball and socket joint. H-initialed. It must start with the letter H. What H-initialed ball and socket joint at the top of your femur? Clarissa.
Hips.
Hip. Yes, ma'am. Good. Go.
Green things for 15.
Green things for 15 points is a multiple choice question. Teams, when they just start growing, when plants just start growing, they have seed leaves, either 1 or 2. Are those seed leaves called corollas, celluloids, or cotyledons? Which of those 3, Beacon Heights?
Celluloids?
Not celluloids, no. Are they the corollas, the celluloids, or the cotyledons, the seed leaves on plants?
Cotyledons?
Cotyledons, yes indeed, and you said that very nicely, Clarissa. Go.
Zoo parade for 20.
Zoo parade for 20 points. Teams, sometimes a name is all wrong. Sloths and anteaters and armadillos were once put into a group called edentates, but they found out that armadillos shouldn't have been in that group because they've got over 100 of these things. The clue there was dent, as in dentist. So the correct answer was teeth. Armadillos actually have teeth. They are not edentates at all. Go green. You need to talk to each other a little bit more. You're just sitting there all kind of just staring. If you have an idea, talk about it. Talk about it. You guys are doing a little better job of that. Go green.
Dateline science for 15.
Dateline science for 15. This is an interesting story. Back in the 1950s, women who worked for NASA sat there with pen and paper taking down data from wind tunnels and other things, helping to put the first man on the moon. Because of what they were doing, they were called these long before Apple or Dell invented them. Clarissa.
Computers?
Yes, ma'am. That group of ladies was called the computers, and President Obama recently recognized them at the White House. Go green.
Body systems for 20, please.
Body systems for 20 points is a multiple choice question. Teams, if a child is wearing a cochlear implant, is he or she having problems with the ear, the heart, or the kidney? Kenneth.
Kidney?
No, ma'am. No, sir. A cochlear implant. Ear, heart, or kidney problems? Noah?
Ear?
Ear is right. Yeah, the cochlea is a snail-shaped area inside the ear, and it looks like a hearing aid. Green.
Let's get physical for 20.
Get physical for 20 points. Multiple choice question. Teams, there is a show on TV, you might have seen it or heard about it, called MacGyver. He uses all kinds of little things and makes them work together and can use them to light up a light or set off a bomb. Recently, he stopped a leak of a toxic chemical called H2SO4 with a chocolate bar. Is H2SO4, this toxic chemical, is it nitric acid, hydrochloric acid, or sulfuric acid? Kenneth.
Hydrochloric acid?
Not hydrochloric, H2SO4. Is that nitric, hydrochloric, or sulfuric?
Sulfuric?
Sulfuric, yes, because the S in there. That's why I gave you the S. The S is for the sulfur. Green, you're listening. Good.
Science potpourri for 20.
Potpourri for 20 points. Teams, the man who won this year's Nobel Prize in Chemistry invented tiny, tiny machines. And he described them with this 4-letter prefix that means what? Yes, Kenneth?
Micro? No,
Not micro. This 4, see, don't be too impulsive. Check with your teammates first. This 4-letter prefix that means 1/billionth is how he named these tiny, tiny machines.
I would like to pass it to Noah.
Noah.
Nano?
Nano, that's it. Absolutely right. Good job. Go. Green.
Green things for 20.
Green things for 20 points. Teams, boy, I hope you've tried this in your home or at school. You take a lemon or an orange or a potato. You put wires to it and it lights up a light. You have made a wet cell one of these. Clarissa.
A battery?
You got that right. It's a wet cell battery as opposed to the dry cell battery that Ever-Ready sells. Nicely done. Go.
Dateline science for 20.
Dateline science for 20 points is a multiple choice question. Teams, how many of you know what a Google Doodle is? If you look at Google, there's like a little cartoon. Recently, Google had a Google Doodle to celebrate the 384th birthday of Anton von Leeuwenhoek. Was von Leeuwenhoek the first ever microbiologist, forensic anthropologist, or statistician? Anton von Leeuwenhoek. He was the first ever, Clarissa?
Statistician.
Not statistician, statistician, forensic anthropologist, or microbiologist. 384 years ago.
Microbiologist?
That's it. Good. All right, Red, you got some making up to do. Let's go, Ken.
Science potpourri for 25.
25 points. Teams, recently they found and opened a fossil park in New Jersey at an old mining quarry. It is the place east of the Mississippi where more fossils of dinosaurs have been found than any other. It is the place where you go to see evidence of this C initial geological period that was the heyday of the dinosaurs. The C initial period that was the heyday of the dinosaurs. So it can't be Jurassic, it's got to be C initial. Spellman.
Cenozoic.
No, good try. Not Cenozoic. C initial period that was the heyday of the dinosaurs. Come on, Beacon Heights, you need this.
I passed to Luis.
Luis.
Cretaceous.
That's it, Cretaceous. That's exactly right, Lewis. We heard that in there. Go, Red.
Zoo parade for 25.
Zoo parade for 25 points. Teams, look at the monitor in the studio, please. You may have heard about this. Soccer fields today are being covered with little bits of rubber called crumb rubber, so that if you fall, it's cushioned. But they now think that that crumb rubber may be carcinogenic. I know Clarissa wants to study oncology. Could be carcinogenic. So the CDC, the Centers for Disease Control, are looking into it. So too is this agency, the EPA. Can you tell me for 25 points what federal agency is the EPA? Tough question. Environmental Protection Agency. Try again. Oh, we're not going to get to another question. And it looks like Gladys Spellman, in their first appearance ever, has won and will be moving on. We'll be back with a wrap-up in just a moment. Don't you go away. And welcome back. What a great day we had here today. 6 young people, they all acquitted themselves beautifully, just top-notch students, just as we anticipated. Our final tally today is Beacon Heights 130. Gladys Spellman, 220. Congratulations. Let's see some smiles over there. No, I haven't seen you smile all day. Noah and Clarissa and Louise, congratulations. Soraya, I know, put a smile on your face too. And the 3 great principals, the sponsors over there, first time ever with Gladys Spellman here. Miss Brooks, Miss Newsom, Miss Imba, congratulations. We're going to see you in the next round. I want to see some smiles over here too. You guys did a super job here. Louise, you came up with that Cretaceous at the end. That made a difference. Kenneth, good captain. Mikhail, Mr. President. We will see you in the future. Mr. Gatling, Miss Jones, and Genesis, thank you for being here. And Miss Stewie, the principal at Beacon Heights, joins us today too. Lynn, thank you for everything you've done as well. And Valerie, thank you for all you did here for this very first year. We'll see you next time on another edition of Science Bowl. I'm Dave Zarin. Bye-bye.